Mayor Mitchum,
Here.
Councilmember Elgin,
Here.
Councilmember Bailey,
Here.
Councilmember Davis,
Here.
Councilmember Debner,
Here.
Councilmember Lasher,
Here.
Councilmember Randolph.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Will you all please join me in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Our very first agenda item tonight is a facilitated conversation on our 2026 council goals. This is our first regular meeting after the election. Therefore, it's the moment we step forward together into a new year of service. Each of us sitting at this table has been entrusted by the voters with something profound. The care of a small but magnificent town. And we have a responsibility to move it forward wisely, transparently, and collaboratively. We arrive here with different histories, different strengths, and different viewpoints. That variety is not an obstacle. It's the raw material of good governance. Our task is not to think alike, but to work together. We can debate passionately, we can disagree openly, and we can still shape common goals that carry the town forward. When we recognize and articulate our shared values, when we find those sweet spots, you guys have all heard me talk about the sweet spots of agreement, that's where our collective power is strongest. To help us have the kind of conversations, that kind of conversation tonight, I've asked our town mediator, Liz Walker, to join us as a neutral facilitator for this conversation. Her role is to guide discussion, encourage equitable participation, and help the body collaboratively articulate consensus-based priorities for the year. This is the first of 3 steps. After tonight's discussion, I will prepare a draft of the goals based on what I've heard tonight and bring it to our January workshop for refinement. We will then plan on adopting the final version at the regular January meeting. This process also gives the community who's here tonight and joining us remotely time to understand our direction and offer input as we go via the public comment periods in each of these 3 meetings. My hope for tonight is simple and sincere, that we approach this work with trust, curiosity, and a shared commitment to the people we serve. Mountain View deserves a council that leads with integrity, collaboration, and optimism. Let's begin the year in that spirit. Welcome to our new council members, Councilmember Randolph and Councilmember Davis. Ms. Walker, you have the floor. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm Liz Walker, and I am honored to have the town mediator be my title. I'm a mediator and I do meeting facilitation, and I've been a mediator and been facilitating meetings longer than I've been a mediator, but about over 20 years. So I'm here, and thank you for that introduction, Mayor Mitchum. You're going to do most of the talking tonight, and I'm here just to kind of help you stay on task and make sure that there's engagement from everybody. And I just invite any feedback as I'm capturing what you're saying, and I'll take some notes and just make sure and correct me. Give me that feedback if I didn't reframe what you said correctly, or if you want to add anything. To begin, I do want to just start with, and we're just going to kind of round robin, go around, and if you don't mind, I'll just start at one end and go to the other. I'd like people just to introduce themselves briefly. This beginning part should just be maybe a couple minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. And if you can just answer either one of these questions, just a brief introduction about what, who you are, what brought you to council, and then you could talk about an improvement that would meaningfully improve everyday life for residents, or you could address one change that you'd like to see implemented by this time next year. So hopefully that gives you enough time to kind of think through how you want to answer that. And of course, you're free to not answer that question and answer one that you think is more appropriate, but that will give us a dialogue to begin. Anybody have any questions or any concerns before we get started? Okay, so hearing none. Councilmember Randolph, you want to start with you?
I'm going to ask each council member to bring their mic right up to their mouth so that the recording and the remote participants It's hard to get used to that practice, but after a little while it becomes more natural.
Go ahead. Do you want to repeat the question?
Sure. So there are just two kind of general questions. Could you identify an improvement that would meaningfully affect everyday life for residents, or one change that you'd like to see implemented by this time next year? And along with the introduction, whatever you'd like to share about yourself.
Well, I've been in Mountain View for over 30 years. I've got one son, love animals. The one thing I think I would like to do and I see happen is when I was campaigning, residents talked about a survey going out to them about general questions. I would like to see that.
So a survey to implement, to get feedback from residents. Okay, great. That's exactly what kinds of stuff I'm looking for. Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Deppner.
Yes, I've been in Mountain View since 2016. I have a cat and far too many plants. I guess one thing I'd like to see this time next year would be just including the financial statements in the agenda packets. I think we're on our way there, just for that financial oversight capacity that we're all serving on. Just to have a closer look at that, and that way council has eyes on how much we're spending, and who better to know and be familiar with the financial status of the town.
Okay, thank you. So that kind of transparency piece with financials and also sort of accountability at the same time? Or?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, Councilmember Lasher.
Hi, I've lived in Mountain View since 2016. I have two sons. I want to help redevelop the 44th and Sheridan corridor, which I believe are critical to the long-term survival of our town.
Okay, and is that a current plan that's going on, or is that?
I mean, we've discussed it.
Okay, but sort of a new initiative then?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and Councilmember Bailey.
Yes, I have one son also here in town. Been on council since 2017, just elected to my third and final term. I have a PhD in public affairs, so I just wanted to put my training to use in our community. I would like to see some more, we've worked hard to professionalize over the years, and I'd like to see that trajectory continue with more adopted policies moving forward, just so we're all on the same page and we all can follow the same set of rules.
Policies associated with how councils run? Or?
Like communications and more clarity on individual roles and that sort of thing.
Okay, for how government in general and
Yes.
council. Okay. All right, thank you for that. Okay, Councilmember LG.
Hello. What brought me to council? I was involved with a small community group called Mountain View United, and I also have been inspired by a few wonderful neighbors who motivated me to get involved. I too would like to mirror a few council members. I would love to see our better transparency financially, and to be able to be more, I'm on the finance committee, so I'd like to be more savvy in reporting and provide transparency.
Okay, so reporting and transparency associated with the financials.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Davis.
Hi, I'm Doc Davis. I've lived in Mountain View for over 37 years, so I know almost everybody by weight and your first name. So
Can you bring your mic a little closer, please?
one thing I heard over and over in my campaign was we want to see some continuity and some come-togetherness in this community. And I think the way to do that is to involve people. You know, just involve people. Not just at the town functions, but I walk around this town all the time. People always see me. So, a smile on your face and let's get to know each other.
Okay, so kind of community connection,
Yep.
involvement, engagement. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, great. So, thank you for those introductions and the initial statements. And then, does everybody have the town goals from 2024 and 2025? If you want to take a look at those. And those are provided to, I put them in that chart to provide sort of a comparison so you can see how they're similar from year to year. But my understanding is that you're open to, new goals that are included on there, and those categories are not, hard and fast. So what I think would work in terms of the next discussion would be sort of 3 to 5 things that you would want specifically included and articulated in those goals. And it can be from, obviously from prior years, or you can kind of drill down on the prior years or add new ones. Everybody ready to talk about that at this point? Or do you need a couple minutes to look everything over?
Let me clarify, there was a table setting that looked like this at your place.
Oh, yeah, thank
When
you.
you first sat down. In addition to, in the packet, you have the full original 2025 goals and 2024 goals. So she's talking about the table setting.
Yeah, those are, it's basically a paraphrasing of the goals from 24 and 25 just set next to each other. So, I thought it was helpful for me to see how they were similar, and then there were a few nuanced differences in those. So, but I think the way to approach that would be, like you said, if you want to have 3 to 5 things, if that's not a hard and fast rule. If you have more that you want to offer, just give everybody. Does everybody need a couple minutes, or you ready to? Maybe you thought about it before.
We're going round robin or just popping?
I was gonna go round robin, but maybe we'll start with, if you're ready. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
So I guess just my perspective of the goals, they seem to me and they read to me as being more broad and aspirational language. So it's more of like a value statement. So I think I would really like to see, of these 5 goals, like, which one is priority 1. So if we could prioritize the goals. And then also just speak to like communication tools, like, how are you communicate to our constituents? What actions are we taking that's meeting these goals? So really just prioritization and communication tools. And maybe my thinking is, more of like a work plan kind of idea where we would ask staff, what sort of projects to work on that would meet these goals, and kind of like a dollar amount and timeline associated. So that way we have like actionable, list of action items versus more values, which these are great values, and I think, we can find a lot of agreement on these values.
So could you talk a little bit more about the communication piece? Like we talked about prioritization, communication, more of an action plan and more, I guess, more specifics on how you're going to reach those goals. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, maybe, whether it be reporting by staff of like how we progressed in the goals, and just, maybe having a way to track over time, how successful are we at meeting these goals, and, just more metrics really. I think that would be a value add.
Okay, so, progress tracking metrics. My handwriting isn't very good. I'll work on that. And then did you want the communication piece, did I capture that? Is that just communicating by tracking and acknowledging the progress that you made? Does that mean that by the communication?
Yeah, that's largely what I mean.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, Councilmember Algene.
So, I need a little guidance.
Yeah.
I'd like some clarification, because for me, when I look at these goals guide administrative efforts, provide clarity for community, and help the mayor and staff prioritize work to support the council's vision, when I look at these goals, I don't know how staff is able to decipher that goal and make it measurable. And so we want to make staff successful if we have like specifics, like attainable goals. And I'm not really, I'm more familiar with the pyramid, the mission statement, the goals, the objectives, or the SMART theory. And so I'm wanting us to maybe have clarification on these goals, so we are keeping in mind how can the staff know how to measure these goals and how can we track them. And I also wanted to tag along, I think it would be a good idea maybe quarterly to have in our council meeting, where are we in our goals? So our goals are always in our mind, and we're just not looking at them annually, but we can look at them quarterly.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, you wanted more, well, you had mentioned like measurable goals to articulate it in a way that they could be measured and tracked, kind of like what Councilmember Deborah was referring to. And then the SMART goals is the SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, reachable, and what's the T?
Hang on. Is tangible? No.
We can look it up.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'll include that. I know what you're talking about, so,
Yeah.
All right. What else?
Well, and to meet with them quarterly. And so that's really what that's really what I'm looking for, is how can we keep in mind that we are, the objective is to guide administrative efforts and provide clarity.
Clarity to staff.
To the community
And
to help staff prioritize work. So if we have measurable goals, they know, I'm gonna use this for example, I'm gonna use signage, okay? So let's say, I don't know, by June 2026, we're going to have a review of all the signs in Mountain View, and we're gonna know what signs need to be repaired or replaced, and by September of 2026, that will be accomplished, and this is how much it will cost us to do that. So I don't know if I'm in the weeds, or that's something that's to me is measurable.
right, okay, and I'd like, I think it's worth reporting here too, the clarity for staff and the community as to your progress towards the goals.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely some themes coming up.
The T in SMART is time bound.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to our town attorney.
During our workshop, our budget workshop, we had talked about doing like, Charity had mentioned doing like a plan where we put like all of the, like, what we would need to like, for budget wise, to like accomplish all the things that we were doing. What do we call that?
A strategic planning session.
And where are we with that?
We have not set a date for that. So usually that's a two-part piece. You do a strategic planning session with the board, and then staff takes that internally and develops a work plan for the year based off the board's goals that they set here. We discuss the strategic planning session, and then we have to implement that into fiscal year 27's budget.
Okay.
All right, Councilmember Rosen, did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
None of the ones.
Okay. All right,
Can I ask
well,
another question? Right.
yeah.
So like all these just seem like words, right? So if you have like SMART goals, doesn't that say goals?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
So it's like, are we trying to say like just things that we want to work on, like having SMART goals? Or then in there, are we saying like our goals are these? Like we do like, you know, so then we can know in the year what we need to work towards?
Yeah, and if you, and these are just sort of the bigger concepts, but this is being recorded, so like if you want to articulate some that you want to include, and I can put more specifics down here too. So, I'm trying to capture kind of the themes at this point, but did you have, particular ones you want to go next?
Sure. I mean, I would like to work on redevelopment for the Sheridan. I would like to get the houses that we bought sold, rezoned, whatever we want to do there. I would like to finish working on our, the survey that we sent out with Fairfield and Woods or whatever. I'd like to move that forward. I would like to, you know, just have more transparency with the financial stuff. And I'd really just like to get things moving. I feel like a lot of times like we have a plan and then it gets like detoured. So it's like I'd really like to just stay focused and get things done. Because I feel like we talk about things forever, but it never follows through. So I
Okay,
really like things.
I'm gonna make notes of what you
Yeah.
said, and I might ask you to remind me
Yeah.
so I can get them correct. Okay, how did I do? I've got the 44th redevelopment strategic plan, the Fairfield and Woods survey, and then you mentioned town-owned properties. Do you want to talk more about
Just
that?
rezoning
Rezoning.
them or figuring out our town hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are there any other parameters that you want to tie to these in terms of timelines, or just to have timelines for?
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to set timelines for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so setting timelines for these initiatives.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anything else you want to add?
No, not that I can go right now.
Okay. All right, let's see. Who wants to?
I'd like to say
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
The goals versus town hall, police department, infrastructure. I think some of those need to be changed, like to safe community, business and economics, and then we could list goals under them, and then have actions below them on another page. Like Councilman Wiltshire was saying, how we're gonna complete them.
Okay.
And do an update quarterly or every 6 months. And I think a mission statement could cover professionalism, courtesy to people at the beginning, kind of have a mission statement and then have different categories and fill in what we want to accomplish.
Okay, so let me make sure I got that, I heard you correctly. So starting out with the mission statement to govern how council interacts and governs,
And
right?
then maybe the police department should cover everybody at town hall.
Okay,
We should all treat each other the same way.
okay, everybody who's a part of government, okay. And then you mentioned, can you talk a little bit about what, renaming the categories, or what is that?
Like business and economics, we could put some of the stuff that Councilman Roach we talked about underneath it, and then on a second page, I have the actions to follow up.
Okay,
Safe community with the signage, like Councilman Algie talked about.
okay, so, safe community would be one of the topics, economics would be another topic. And then you said on the second page.
Infrastructure third, and then on the second page, you have the same categories and the actions.
That get tied to each one.
Yes.
Okay, the actions that get tied to each of those categories. Yeah,
Can I speak again, or is it?
yeah, okay.
I also want to add like financial stability or sustainability on there for the
Okay.
town. And then also, instead of, I mean, I like Councilmember Alveen's quarterly reporting, but I think it would be helpful at a CFL event I was at, they talked about having the goals at the desk, or, you know, like at our table every time, and every time we're making a vote, talk about if it's getting us closer to our goals, or if this vote's gonna move us further from our goals. So I'd like to, you know, have that in there where it's.
So that analysis, when you're making decisions
Yeah.
related to that.
Mhm.
Okay, this is all really good stuff, so let me take a minute to,
Okay.
trying to balance talking in the microphone
Yeah.
versus writing. So, you said, let's see, the analysis available at the meetings. So analysis of actions and do they approve of goals? And then,
And I said financial sustainability.
oh, right. Okay, and Councilman Randolph, I just had mission statement, updated categories, and specific initiatives.
Yeah, business and economics, I said,
Okay.
and safe community.
I had a similar thought to Councilmember Randolph about having kind of like sub-goals within them. So an easy example would be for the infrastructure goal. We could actually list, you know, we have the ADA transition plan, there's a 3-year capital improvement plan, the 10-year plan for the streets. Those are all like kind of sub-goals or projects that are supported by that infrastructure goal, which is really the public works physical assets.
Okay, thank you. And I want to go to Councilmember Bailey.
It might be a bit like a semantics thing, but my understanding of goals is really that's your pie in the sky, your true north, your the direction you want to move into, it encompasses your values, and then the objectives are the things that are measurable, implementable, and tend to be taken under consideration by staff. So like they're like the staff work plan, but you have to know where you're going to be able to put in place measurable objectives. So I mean, I can see that we kind of need both. It seems like from the conversation at the table, we kind of need that pie in the sky, big picture, and we also need things that fit underneath that in different categories.
Okay, and so would it, is like aspirational the right word, or is that?
Yeah, I guess so.
Or what, and what you were thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking more of like, this is like the big picture, like where you wanna see the town in like, maybe we have like, you know, like a 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 10 years,
Like
20
time
years, like
horizons.
time horizons. And I
Yeah.
think, cause I mean, like, what, you know, you can only get so much done in government in a short amount of time, because you have to, you know, you have to have buy-in from the community and talk about things and get public comment and consider it and do your due diligence, and you're only meeting, you know, 1 to 2 times a month, and things come up that that have to be, you know, bark at you, and you have to pay attention to them, and sometimes that can like divert you from your path, right? So I think having time horizons would be helpful, and knowing kind of like in this time horizon, what do we ultimately want to get accomplished?
Okay, so I heard a couple things. One is the kind of acknowledging the difference between like the aspirational or big picture, as you called it, versus specific initiatives. Is that
I think that's fair.
okay? And feel free to tell me to reword it. And that's,
No, that works,
these
yeah.
are all your ideas, not mine. And then the time horizons. I think that's an important piece too. So I'm going to capture both those. All right, Councilmember Bailey, what else? Do you have any other thoughts or on the other things that were voiced?
I mean, I agree with a lot of what has been said already, like infrastructure really needs to get dealt with. We need to plan for the future for, you know, if we don't have a town hall space that meets our needs, what does that look like? Let's get moving on that. You know, we do redevelopment, and we need to finish what we started with our zoning for residential zoning for R2. You know, we have a lot of things on our plate, and we're all making progress on them, but we need to we might need to prioritize, like we've talked about here tonight.
Yeah, in setting the time horizons and goals. Yeah, probably has to do with attainability too. What can you realistically get done? Okay.
Right.
All right, and Councilmember Davis, can you let us know what your thoughts are in terms of either what's been already said or anything new?
Well, I would like to see snow removal for the residents. Also, I'd like to see the senior discounts come back for the seniors and people who pay in advance. Also, would like to see some more activity on the 44 corridor to see what we can do to bring in retail.
Bringing in the retail, has to do with 44th Street redevelopment, and then snow removal for everybody, and then senior discounts. Can you talk more about that and how that would get applied?
As I understand it, there was a discount that they had for people over 65 that paid in advance. We got some kind of discount. I'd like to probably answer more on that.
On the utility bills.
Oh, okay, all right, for utilities, okay. All right, anything else you want to add at this time? Or any comments on the other thoughts? If you can read my hand.
Well, as for the snow removal, I think we should, instead of putting fines on people for not removing it, the town should buy some equipment and have people do it. And charge people, you know, a few bucks a month in the snowy months. And just get the walks cleared. That would make things safer, and people would benefit from it. You buy the equipment once, you maintain it, and help public works guys do it.
Okay, so for more specifics on the snow removal, so the town would buy the equipment, and then Public Works would be responsible for, doing the work, and then there would just be a fee for residents rather than fining them for not doing it themselves? Because it'd be safer, in your
Right.
mind, to have it, know it's done.
Yes,
Okay. All right.
exactly right.
Okay, any other things you wanna add? I'll write that down.
At the moment.
Okay.
You too.
All right, oh, and, Councilmember Algene, I think you had your hand up.
Oh, I was just gonna elaborate on the senior discount.
Oh, with the utilities, okay. All right, and I think, yeah, go ahead.
I mentioned the residential survey. A lot of folks wanting to do a survey on things that they want to see happening. So I don't know if council could create a survey and send it out and tally it to create any goals or not.
Okay, and was this different, I heard, Councilmember last year talk about Fairfield and Woods survey?
That's different.
It's different, okay. Is that like a land survey or something?
It was the R2 zoning.
Yeah,
Oh,
residential.
okay. Oh, for your land use code. Okay, got it. Okay. So, Councilmember Randolph, I'll capture that on here, but you're talking about a survey that we go out to residents
Correct.
about services or what?
Services, we have to put them together in lots of different things.
Okay.
Services, division in town, where people don't come to the meetings, et cetera, et cetera. Could go on and on.
Okay, so lots of different topics, probably have to be some discussion about what would be included in there. Okay, all right, let me capture that. So the survey would get residents engaged, get feedback from them, and would it be like one survey, one and done, or would it be like over a time, or?
Maybe a couple of years.
Okay, all right. All right, anything else you want to add?
That's good.
Okay.
Are you thinking like a resident goal survey to kind of get their ideas for town direction?
Some goals and I just had a lot of feedback about things they would like to see. And they made suggestions to do so.
It's particularly important that we speak into the mics, because I'm gonna use this conversation for making the first draft, and if I don't get a good recording, I won't have that good meet.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I can try to repeat to you into the microphone, and I heard you say, Councilmember Randolph, that you get a lot of communications from residents wanting
When I was campaigning was
about different things that they wanted. You feel like a survey would be the way to get that information to the town council. Okay, Councilmember Bailey?
If we're talking sort of pie in the sky, futuristic, value-driven things, I would love the town to have like a climate action plan, some kind of sustainability plan. That's one area that we haven't really delved too much into. We've taken the dabble with like the tree planting program, which was kind of multi-purpose, multifaceted, but I'd love to see that be brought to our town.
Okay, so climate action, sustainability, and you said that they had kind of touched on it with the tree planting.
Yeah, just like, we did a free resident tree program where you could apply to have a tree, and you take care of it, and we come and plant it for you, and you water it and take care of it. So it helps to replace the urban canopy, improves property values, and also is like a shield from the sun on the sidewalks, and, reducing the heat island effect of an urban environment. So it kind of goes into with the climate change stuff, but it's not, it's multifaceted.
Yeah, okay, so kind of a continuation of those policies. Okay, let me
Yeah.
make sure we get that
About
captured.
solar and the, whatever we, you know.
Solar, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, let's go electric, you know.
yeah, okay, let me write this down. So I guess that would be encompassed in climate action, would be like exploring feasibility of solar or electric and things like that, where you could implement that. Okay, anything else along those lines or anything new?
I mean, that kind of goes in along with like, Dr. Khan, the Denver Regional Council of Governments has like, livable city type stuff that we've been applying for funding and that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, the livability and, okay, and now I think we've been around to everybody at least once, am I right? Or twice if you count the intro. So, now it just can be just a discussion, we're not limited, so anybody have anything else they want to weigh in on? Yep.
It seems we need to have a longer term goal. And the longer term goal would be to have more retail generation. And what we need is like a hardware store or something, Ace hardware store. I don't know how that would come together, but maybe somebody does.
So attracting retail, and in your mind, a hardware store would be a good fit?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so maybe one of our goals could be to move forward with like the downtown Colorado or whatever it was called, something Colorado, right? So then they could help the council, tell us what, right, am I wrong here? Okay, what businesses would thrive here, what would bring us the most revenue, like sales tax income for us. So I think that's how we're gonna decide, like, 'cause I think everyone has like, oh, great, let's just have a restaurant or this, but we need some professionals to come in to let us know like what would be successful here.
Good idea, good place to start.
And what's the organization that you're
I think it's like Colorado, downtown Colorado. Yeah.
There's actually a DOLA grant that the town clerk has applied for.
Dr. Cog. The Dr.
Oh, it's
Cog
the Dr.
grant
Cog
is
grant, that's right.
the one that was gonna do the livable center study and then the transportation study.
So move forward with that.
Yep, I'll add that. So the Dr. Cog grant,
Yeah.
and then the attracting retail, and Councilmember Davis's idea about hardware store, but Councilmember Lash, I heard you say that there's people who will consult with you and tell you what would be the appropriate or best value to have to generate tax base.
Something that makes people want to come here and improve their house. Attracting investors, we need to have the property to do it. There's some property sitting looking empty.
Oh, I see, and then you're saying the hardware store kind of ties into maintaining your property,
Sure.
and okay, all right, yeah, Councilman Bailey.
I mean, I'd love to see a community gathering place of some sort,
Okay,
a restaurant or a brewery or a coffee shop or, we have only a few restaurants really in town, most of which are fast food.
okay, and I think I saw that on the earlier goals too, is retail that would promote or offer gathering space. So let me get back to what you were saying, Councilmember Lasher, in conjunction with Councilmember Davis, and I'll get that caption.
I just said move forward with the Dr. Cog grant to figure out what would make the most income for the town.
right, yeah, Councilman Becker.
So one thought that I had, I was looking at, the existing goals that we have, and we have the town hall, which speaks to collaboration and professionalism. But then, the council goal also is kind of a collaboration and professionalism kind of topic. So one thought I had was maybe combining them, and if I can't propose, I have an idea. I really like Councilmember Loescher's idea about financial sustainability and stewardship. So maybe, a statement that I wrote down was stewarding public resources responsibly through transparent spending review, long-term financial planning, and clear communication of priorities and trade-offs. So the one thought that I have is, we have a lot of projects going on, but we only have so much resources, be it staff time or dollars to spend. So just being clear about, what are those trade-offs and stewarding the finances as well.
Okay, so when you're talking about, and I'll add that stewardship there, you're talking about identifying the projects that you want to do, but making sure you have the resources to do them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was, if I could have like a sixth goal, I guess that's what pops in my mind, is just financial stewardship and sustainability.
Okay, I'll add that. Did you want to read that again, that statement that you had written down? Just so we make sure
so
we
it's
get it.
stewarding public resources responsibly through transparent spending review, long-term financial planning, and clear communication of priorities and trade-off.
Okay.
So, just trying to educate and be clear that, if we have a 10-year plan for the streets, it's going to take 10 years before your street will be repaved. And, that we might have to balance, our spending where we prioritize first. And I've heard similar comments from residents where, if they have a preference to scale back like discretionary event spending, if it means that the streets will get paved sooner. So just trying to explain and educate our residents about, the trade-offs when it comes to making financial decisions about how much to spend on what time.
Okay, so getting their wish list, but then making sure you can do it, or they understand the trade-offs, like you said. Okay, let me capture that word stewardship with the financial sustainability. Okay, and we're about 10 minutes. We have about 10 minutes left. So anybody have any things they want to add or closing thoughts? Anything that you're not clear on that I wrote down here that we spoke about that is unclear? Just okay. Anybody want to offer any closing thoughts? So just to recap then, Councilmember Randolph, I heard that survey was really important to you.
It's important to the residents.
And the residents that you communicated with during your campaign. And then Councilmember Devner, I heard you talk about the stewardship. And then Councilmember Lasher, the first thing I heard you say was the redevelopment, which involves the retail, right? So that's kind of part and parcel. And then Councilmember Davis, attracting retail, the snow removal, and the senior discounts. Okay. And then Councilmember Elgin, you had talked about, was that the clarity of the goals for staff and community? Okay. Any other closing things that you want to say for you?
I just would like for us, as our goals, agreement goals, that we provide clear policy direction to staff, so that they're clear and have a clear vision on how to accomplish the goals that we're setting.
Okay. Clear
So
vision for
direction.
staff,
Yeah,
the clarity for staff and the community? And
Yes, to help them be successful in
Okay.
meeting our goals.
Do you think that ties to the financial piece too, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because if we're talking about something financial, okay, like we'd like to get a retail, let's say, what'd you say, Doc?
Hardware store.
Hardware store, there are a million steps that would be involved in that. So we would need to be able to provide staff some direction so that they're able to say, okay, these are the 30 steps that we have to do to reach this goal. This is the cost, this is the timeline. So we're all clear on the specifics.
Okay, and the resources that it's gonna take to do it, and then they have the authority to do those 30 steps or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then Councilmember Bailey, the big takeaway I got from you was, of course, climate action plan, sustainability, looking into the livability issues, and anything else you want to add in closing?
I mean, I definitely think the redevelopment of like finishing the zoning, the residential zoning, and doing the commercial zoning, the redevelopment is also huge.
Okay, the zoning, is that the land use
Yeah.
plan? Okay. I don't think I wrote that down. So
That's the Fairfield and Woods.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, thank you. All right. All right. Everybody feel good about the information that was captured tonight? Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna hold that. Thank you, Ms. Walker, for your thoughtful guidance and for your assistance being the town mediator. We appreciate that as well. I think you've been doing that for a couple of years for us, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
We have a flyer in the back for anybody who wants to learn more about the mediation program. It's a resource that I'm really proud that we offer as a small town. And with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. So per the request from Councilmember Debner, I'm going to use my chair's discretion to remove items 5D and 5F from the consent agenda. And per request from Mayor Pro Tem Bailey, I'll use my chair's discretion to remove items 5C and 5E from the consent agenda. And we'll consider each of these in turn immediately after the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, will you please read the remaining items in the amended consent agenda into the record?
The consent agenda consists of the meeting minutes from the 11/17/25 regular meeting, the meeting minutes from the 12/8/25 special meeting.
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. The consent agenda is adopted. So we'll move first to consent agenda item number 5C regarding the appointment of our town clerk treasurer. May I have a motion to bring this item to the floor, please?
I move to approve resolution number 2025-12-15A, a resolution reappointing Sherry Campfield as the town clerk treasurer for the town of Mountain View, Colorado.
May I make a motion?
We have a second. We have a motion on the floor, so we need a second.
Second.
And Mayor Pro Tem, since this was removed per your request, you have the floor.
I just had some questions that I would like to ask staff. I'm just gonna put it out there. I was a little surprised to see a council member's personal letter in the packet, and I was curious if, from a staff perspective, if they would have recommended including letters that are between council members and residents in a packet, and whether that might actually bring the town kind of into a citizen dispute.
I'm not sure that question is on topic in terms of the resolution to appoint our clerk. Can you ask it in a more, are you asking about professional judgment about creating the packet?
It's part of that. I want to have a more open discussion about the clerk's role and her responsibilities in the town.
But that's not about the reappointment of this clerk. That's about her job description.
Well, I mean, her job description, like, I feel like she's doing things that are not in her job description.
Okay, but that's still not to the point of the motion in the second that's on the floor. So the motion in the second that's on the floor is we have a town clerk / treasurer who has previously been appointed by council, who's doing a great job, who has qualifications to do the job, and who has excelled at the job repeatedly, day in and day out. And in a small town, you wear a lot of hats. All staff do. One of the things that this town clerk is exceptionally good at is because she has experience and from many different places in municipal running of small governments, and also from different positions and different towns. She brings to a depth of experience that's both wide and deep to the table. So clearly she's doing a fantastic job. I don't think anybody has said that she's not. And so this is, in some sense, a formality. She's per our charter requirements, we are required to appoint the clerk and the chief. I think the attorney as well.
I make a motion that
There's already a motion, so that's out of order. There's a motion and a second already on the floor. You can make a motion to amend it.
I make a motion to amend, thank you.
And
And
are
I
you
would like to
amending,
move
excuse me,
resolution-
Councilmember Algeen, are you motioning to amend the motion that's on the floor?
I'm making a motion to amend what's on the floor.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I would like to remove this resolution of appointing Charity to an executive session to discuss job description and changes, because I believe that when we looked at the job description, there are specifics that we need to add and have a discussion. So I move that we move that to an executive session.
Are you talking tonight or some point in the
We
future?
can either do that tonight or we can schedule one next month.
Yeah, my preference would be in the future. I need to figure out sort of what the executive session purpose will be. Obviously, for the open meetings law, there's really 5 purposes that we can get into executive session. So we can't set policy in that forum, but we could discuss, for instance, like matters subject to negotiation. So let's me and you talk
Okay,
and figure out how to move forward.
thank you.
But it sounds like to me the real motion on the floor would be to table this until just table it, actually just pull it.
I make a motion to table.
Second.
It's motioned and second to table this after we've already had it. Motion to approve it.
So sorry, there was a motion to amend the motion on the floor to table the motion.
Who said so moved?
So moved.
And who said so moved? Mayor Pro Tem? Okay, and seconded. So all in favor of tabling the motion to reappoint our town clerk, which is resolution number 2025-12-15B. I think we should have a roll call vote for this. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Algeen,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Councilmember Randolph.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
So sorry, I'm used to hearing the last ones. Sorry about that. Thank you for your gracious Okay, so we will turn to agenda item 5E regarding the reappointment of our police chief. May I have a motion to bring this item to the floor, please?
I move to approve, resolution number 2025-12-15C, resolution to reappoint Michael Nesbitt as the police chief for the town of Mountain View, Colorado.
I make a motion to
May I
table.
just need a second?
Second.
I make a motion to
No,
table.
I'm sorry, you do not have the floor. Mayor Pro Tem, with your request to discuss this agenda item, you have the floor.
I was wondering, I was wondering, does chief have a contract? Do you have a contract, chief?
I do not. Sorry, I do not.
You appoint his salary, or you set his salary by budget. And he sets the departmental budget within that. And he's subject to the personnel handbook, which you also approve, like all other employees of the town.
Is it unusual for a police chief to not have a contract in these guys?
It's a mixed bag. I'd say it's, yeah, maybe half and half. I'd say half rely just on the personnel manual, so they don't have separate agreements with each employee in town. And half get certain positions to do one agreement.
Councilmember Alpine?
Do we have a job description for the chief? Is that-
It's set by the charter, and then you further enumerated it in the code, which is similar to my position and the treasurer position. All of those positions are created by your charter. They have certain powers and duties in your charter, which would take a voter-approved ballot measure to change. But you've enumerated some additional detail in your code for each of those positions.
It would be my preference that we have a discussion in council. My preference is that the chief have a contract.
We can do that. That's no problem.
And with that,
I'm sorry, let me give the floor to somebody else. Councilmember Devon?
So just to be clear, we don't have a separate job description for the police chief position, it's just
The charter.
the charter and code. Would council and the table be interested in creating the job description, or does, I guess, as the attorney's perspective on municipality practice?
Typically not for these types of appointed positions, because you basically just copy and paste in your charter and code, which you can definitely do. You just need to make sure that they're all consistent. So if you update one, make sure to update the other. I think it's probably more common to just point them to a cross-reference like the resolution does, and you can find the duties spelled out. Sure.
So speaking to the motion and the second that's on the floor, we have a reappointment of Chief Nesbitt. We're certainly happy to bring forward a contract with Chief Nesbitt that would mirror that. Duties in the charter, that's no problem at all, and it makes a certain amount of sense. Are there other comments, questions, or discussion about the reappointment of Chief Nesbitt? Councilmember Alpine?
would the chief have an opportunity to review and negotiate the contract?
Yes.
Would we have a timeline when that would be done?
We have created a standard employment agreement form that we could use, so I don't think it would take a considerable amount of time.
We could do it tomorrow, I think.
Basically, your staff, the mayor and the clerk can use the forms I've provided and plug and play.
The only reason that he doesn't have a contract really is because his job description is so clearly spelled out in the charter that there's just really no need. His position is very well established, and he's been doing a fantastic job under those requirements, and his capacity to run the department has been really particularly good. And so I think in general, since our town attorney came on, we've started having everybody do the standard PSA, but I think chief might have been appointed right before. Yeah, and so we didn't do a PSA, but the PSA is, the professional services agreement is absolutely no problem. We can do that tomorrow. Any other questions, comments, or discussion? I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to speak. Councilmember Alvey.
In the contract agreement, in my research, I found that approximately a 6-month severance package is available for both a chief of police and a clerk in the event that, we decided to terminate their position. Is there a severance package available for our current staff?
No. If you'd like to go that direction, then we do need to get into executive session so I can inform you as to those negotiations.
I think that's my preference.
Okay. So maybe that's the next step.
Can we move forward with the reappointment and then have that be another step?
All the appointments are at will. You can make them today. Get rid of them tomorrow.
So tabling it just doesn't kind of make a lot of sense to me. It's easier to just do the reappointment, follow our charter duty, and then have the discussion if council wants to have that kind of discussion in executive session. You're risking nothing that I can see.
Madam Mayor, I don't think it's about risking, it's just about clarification and understanding the process. So, Austin, you said we could appoint, and if we wanted to, we could make amends tomorrow?
Yep, any of your appointed positions, and you'll see that in each of the resolutions. It's also in your charter. Every single appointed position is at will. If we move to an employment agreement kind of approach with a severance package, that's going to add a layer to the legal onion that we'll want to talk about in executive session.
Okay. Any other discussion? Councilmember Debner?
So just to recap, could you maybe contrast the purpose of the executive session and this appointment? They're two separate things.
Completely separate, yeah. So your appointments, you must fulfill each one of these positions. There must be someone in them. That's why typically you have a clerk and a treasurer formed by the same person, because you simply have not had the staffing to have two different people fulfill those hats. But you must fulfill each of those hats. In other words, you must make the appointments annually. If we don't do them tonight, have to do them at your next meeting, or you're out of compliance with your charter. So that's issue one. Issue two, related to the employment agreements. It sounds like council's interested in discussing new terms related to employment agreements with your appointed officials in town. If that's the case, as your attorney, I need to be able to advise you on what those terms might implicate.
Thank you.
Any other discussion before we move to a vote to reappoint Chief Nesbitt? Therefore, all in favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. The resolution passes. Thank you. Oh, did I skip one? I'm sorry, I went out of turn. So we will go back to agenda item 5D regarding the reappointment of our town attorney. May I please have a motion to bring this item to the floor?
I move to approve resolution number 2025-12-15B, a resolution reappointing Austin Pierce, Flanagan of Hoffmann, Parker, Wilson, and Carberry, PC, as the town attorney for the town of Fountain, Colorado.
Second, oh, sorry.
Thank you. Councilmember Debner, since this was your request to discuss this agenda item and not have it in the consent agenda, you have the floor first.
Thank you. I just had a couple of questions that Since we have new council members here, I'm hoping you could provide some clarity on it. So I'd appreciate clarity on how individual council members seek legal advice when we communicate and ask questions. Do those need to go through the mayor, or is that a question that could be directed at you?
Is this really about the reappointment? Or is this about our rules?
It's probably more about the rules, less about me, it sounds like. I can
Which
answer.
we're doing in the next meeting.
Okay.
Is the rules, the whole rules conversation, which it sounds like you guys need some clarity on. Those rules are set, the rules and positions, our procedures are set by your body, this body, at the next meeting. So that's when we have that conversation. What we're talking about here is our town attorney, who has been doing a wonderful job, who is with a firm who has represented us for over a decade, and, about 2 decades. And this firm is one of the preeminent firms for local governance in the state of Colorado and beyond. And so what we need to do is appoint him per our charter, and then have these other tangential conversations in the appropriate manner at the appropriate time. Is there anybody at the table who would like to speak to the issue of reappointing the town attorney? Councilmember Elgin.
I'm sorry, I have a question. So if the council wanted to have a, I'm going to use the word again, executive session to meet with you and a partner to discuss concerns, then we would raise a motion to have an executive session. Is that correct?
Oh, what kind of concerns are we talking? It would depend on sort of the nature of them,
Mhm.
if they're able to get into an executive session.
Okay. Can you give me some guidelines?
Yeah, so executive sessions are really limited to legal advice, the purchase or acquisition of property, negotiations, personnel matters, and what's the next one?
Again, this isn't about the motion and the second that's on the floor. You're asking him a specific question for legal guidance, and this is not the forum for that. We have a motion and a second on the floor to follow our charter and reappoint our town attorney. If you have procedural questions and legal questions, there is a route for that in our rules and procedures. This is not the place for that. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm curious, Austin, do you, as our representative, do you have a contract, or is it just sort of just like the chief? It's not, it's kind of spelled out in the charter, and there's no contract.
Yeah, we'll have a letter of engagement dated from 1996 when we took over representation of the town.
And represented the town for free for a period of time.
It's an actual agreement from 1993.
Oh, 1993, okay, thank you. And basically what it says is like, we are your town attorney. We carry certain insurance, malpractice insurance and what have you. And when we engage in other matters, we will let you know if that's not covered under our agreement. In other words, if you're getting involved in litigation, that's typically a separate matter, and then we have sort of a separate agreement at that time. I'd say that's very, very standard.
Any other discussion about the charter required appointment of our town attorney? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
No.
Then we're going to call for a voice vote. Because I haven't heard everybody vote. That didn't work.
Mayor Pro Tem Bailey.
Yes.
Councilmember Elgin.
No.
Councilmember Davis.
No.
Councilmember Debner.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher.
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
No.
And the mayor votes yes, which breaks the tie. The resolution is adopted. We will move on to agenda item number 5F regarding the agreement with our town auditor. May I hear a motion to bring this item to the floor, please?
I move to approve resolution number 2025-12-15D, a resolution of the Town of Mountain View approving an agreement with R. Farmer LLC to perform town auditor services in the town and authorizing the mayor to execute the same.
Second.
Councilmember Devner, since this was your request to discuss this agenda item, you have the floor.
So my first question, so the staff report mentions that we've used our Farmer LLC for many years. So I was wondering if Cherry, our clerk, could provide just a perspective on if there's best practices around auditor rotation and, when and how often municipalities would go out for a request for pricing for audit services.
Typically, an RFP is done if you start having issues with timeliness of the audit. I did do my due diligence before the meeting to listen to the audit report from June. I believe that you have a very solid auditor who's candid and had a very difficult conversation with you about your town finances this last year. I think from my research, at this point, it would be in haste to change your auditor services, especially now because most auditors are doing their planning because audits start Jan 1. If that's something you really want to research, I would recommend you push that back till April just because the audit cycles. So municipal audits are due July 31. School audits, I think, are December 31st based off of the fiscal year. So timing on that is crucial to make sure that you could find a quality replacement. But from my perspective, I don't think that's something that you should do at this point. I think there is a benefit to the institutional knowledge on some of the things with the town nuances, especially with staff turnover. Since I've only been here a few months, I'm going to have to rely heavily on the auditor and Lorraine's institutional knowledge this audit cycle. I would not recommend a change at this point.
Thank you.
Other discussion? Councilmember Devner.
My last question, so in the agreement that's attached in the packet, and this might be something that Mayor Mitchum, you have some knowledge about. So it mentions on page 40 of the agenda packet, communicating a list of significant findings to management. And then on page 38, it talks about a report that goes to council. So I guess I'm trying to understand what info council receives for oversight purposes, and if there's a difference between the report and what's mentioned on page 40 of the agreement.
Let me make sure I understand.
So I could probably speak to that. So the report that went to council was what happened on the June meeting, where he goes over his financial findings, and then the document that follows that is submitted to the state annually for compliance. From what I gather, he and Lorraine did a really good job of scaling the information back to discuss it in a manner that was very understandable. But that report is what he's referencing. And the management letter is the first piece of that annual audit report that he sends to the town. And so doing a core of the previous audits, you can see that that's exactly what he submitted annually.
Thank you. That's the clarity I was looking for.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Other questions or discussion about our auditor? All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no. Motion passes. We're going to move on to our agenda item 6. 6A was tabled, so we're going to swear in our chief of police, and our town clerk treasurer has the honor.
Okay. I, Michael Nesbitt,
I, Michael Nesbitt,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and enforce
that I will support and enforce
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and in the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Mountain View,
and the charter orders of the town of Mountain View,
and shall faithfully perform,
and shall faithfully perform,
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities,
the duties of police chief,
the duties of police chief,
upon which I am about to enter.
which I am about to enter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our appointed officials, our committees, and our town attorney. I am very proud to work with you, and I appreciate the commitment and the professionalism that you show every day. We would have our public comment period next, but I'm going to use my chair's discretion to move item number 9 on our agenda up, because we have a special guest with us tonight from Excel who has joined us, and he's been very patient through this entire meeting. Tyler Granite, thank you for being here. He is the community area manager for community and local government affairs, and has interacted with the town about the franchise agreement, which is agenda item number 9. So if we could have a motion to bring agenda item number 9 to the floor, I would appreciate it.
I move to approve ordinance number 2025-12-15A, ordinance of the town of Mountain View granting a franchise to Public Service Company of Colorado the right to use the streets within the town to furnish, sell, transmit, transport, and distribute gas and electricity to the town and to all residents of the town. The right to acquire, construct, install, locate, maintain, operate, and extend into, within, and through the town all facilities reasonably necessary to furnish, sell, transmit, transport, and distribute gas and electricity within the town, within and through the town, and the right to provide street lighting service to the town and fixing the terms and conditions thereof.
Second.
And our town attorney will speak to this ordinance.
Sure, yeah, I think the staff report does a great job of summarizing the issue. The current franchise with Yesco expires on June 11th, 2026. It was properly noticed in accordance with our code for renewal of the franchise agreement. The franchise agreement really has very similar terms, almost identical terms to what we have today.
Are there any questions about the franchise agreement? Discussion.
Trying to find my note in my packet. I think I might be misremembering, sorry.
Councilmember Dedman.
Yeah, I just was wondering if you could maybe explain the 1% undergrounding fund, and if that's included in the approximate $16,000 annual revenue, because it reads to me like that's a restricted fund.
Correct, it is restricted, and it's restricted for the purpose of undergrounding for the franchise agreement. And so it's an addition to those franchise fees to go specifically towards undergrounding existing facilities. I will tell you an experience, and you're welcome to speak to this as well, Tyler, that it's never going to get even close to undergrounding really any facilities in town. It's an incredibly expensive endeavor, as you'd imagine. So that fund does exist, but you would need a substantial amount of additional revenue to actually act on it.
Out of curiosity, do you know how much is in that fund currently?
You may come to the public comment period. Mike, if you'd like to be on record for this.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Tyler Ryan. I'm the area manager at Excel Energy. I just looked. I think you guys have about $80,000 in the fund. So I don't know how many poles that could underground. But we are always happy to come introduce you to our designer and see what maybe we can do with that fund. But it is specifically for the purpose of underground.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Sorry, I found that. I was just wondering if how this agreement's different from past agreements.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. The funding mechanisms are the same. There's a little bit more meat to the agreement than in previous iterations, but for the most part, substantively, you're working with the same agreement.
And then I noticed on page, 58, there's the effective date had some sort of an error. The error reference source not found.
Oh yeah, we have to fill it up top. So once you
Okay.
yeah.
There's some metaphor.
Other discussion? Other questions? Okay, then we're ready for the vote. Will the town clerk please call the roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Algeen,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. We will move back on our agenda to our public comment period. Thank you to our public for being patient with the agenda changing. So I'm going to summarize the rules. If we have anybody signed up in the room, you will have 3 minutes and our town clerk will time you and call you in order. If you are participating remotely, she will ask you to be a panelist and will ask you to put the information into the chat, your contact information into the chat. And you again will have 3 minutes with your camera on. Do we have anybody in the room who would like to be signed up for the public comment?
Charlene Pelton.
Yeah, we kind of make that hard to get up the aisle, don't we?
That's okay.
I'll make a little bit, yeah.
Am I supposed to add this?
It's okay, we know you're a resident, that's all we've felt that.
Okay, so we're Charlene Pelton, and I'm a resident, and I want to welcome our new committee, and I hope that we can all work together and be productive and move forward. And I'd like to say compliments to our police department. I'm very fortunate and appreciate them. I do want to say I really like the yellow painting on the curbs, and I don't know if it's in the plan for all curbs to get that, but I hope it is. And then also, I'm thankful that they put up the mirrors on the alleyway going into 44th between Eaton and Depew, which is by Firestone and the dental office, because that was really a dangerous, almost hitting pedestrians. So,
Yeah.
and that's all I have to say. I hope we have a good year.
Thank you very much for your comment.
You're welcome.
Brian Carney.
My name's Brian and I'm a resident. I'm obviously here to address the letter that was submitted by Councilperson Lasher in the town packet. My name is Ryan Massa and I am Brian's longtime friend and employer where he has worked for more than 20 years. My comments are in response to Brittany's letter, which followed Brian's public comments made at the October council meeting. My intention is not to imply right or wrong on the part of either Brittany or Brian, but rather to clarify and correct several misleading and inaccurate statements made by Brittany's public comments to the community. Length of friendship. My wife and Brittany were friends during a period when our children attended school together, which lasted approximately 4 to 5 years. Characterizing their friendship as lasting more than a decade is not accurate. Brittany initiated the conversation regarding Brian and the events of July 25th by asking Jen if Brian was okay. During the conversation, Brittany stated that Jen and I would check in on Brian. This was never discussed or agreed upon by either Jen or myself. In her letter, Brittany states, "Why would he interpret it as a threat to his job is a complete mystery to me as well as my friend and her husband. From my perspective as Brian's employer, it is understandable why he would perceive a statement made as a potential threat to his employment. Brittany's actions do not reflect compassion or support. Rather, she was trying to share information about a mutual quote-unquote friend, which was subsequently exaggerated and relayed to his employer. My goal in providing this clarification is simply to ensure that the community has accurate information. I appreciate the opportunity to address these points and hope it helps bring clarity to the discussion. Personally, she also stated in there that she reached out directly to me to try and rectify the situation, which is another false statement. I really look forward to a printed retraction and apology, because this is out of line. The fact that she is trying to make this that she was reaching out to my employer out of compassion is ridiculous. The fact that she shared Quora reports with my employer's family is ridiculous. I would love to know, and she can answer right now, which one of these neighbors brought this incident to your attention, because I have a feeling it's somebody within the town government is monitoring what police actions happen and using that information when they see fit. I think it's completely unethical and ridiculous.
Thank you for your comment.
Nancy Bucci.
Nancy Bucci, 4146 Benton. I am a resident. I would just like to talk about, or maybe get some clarity. We talked about it a couple of meetings ago, I think, about how the pay for people in town hall is fantastic. I've never heard of an employer ever paying for the monthly dues for healthcare. It's amazing, and I'm under the understanding that people in town hall make $100,000. If that is so, I would love the mayor to answer why you have had 5 clerks during your tenure. I don't know how you're going to answer me because you don't answer right now, but that's my question, and I would like to know the answer. Margie, Audrey, John, Honorea, sorry, and now Charity. You've been a mayor for how long? 3 years? And you have 5 town clerks that make over $100,000 a year. It is a very awesome job. It's 4 days a week, and you can't keep someone in office. Thank you.
I'll follow up with you. Thank you for your comment.
Jeff Kitty.
Over the past, Jeff Kitty, 4175 Benton Street, resident, long time. Over the past couple of weeks, I've had the pleasure of being brought up on charges of campaign finance with baseless accusal of me, of a fellow citizen, 2 fellow citizens, that there was actually no basis for it. Okay, we're still waiting on an action on it. And the thing is that if we speak out against what council's doing, or we want to make a change, it doesn't make us a mob. The other thing is I did not know until today that the Mountain View Alliance was an illegal, I don't even know how to put it. That's a bunch of citizens that got together. We're not registered with the town, nor did we know that we had to be. Am I part of it? I guess, maybe. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I think it's retaliation for a successful recall. And that's pretty much all I got to say. The other thing is, the chief, Charity, and I believe Austin serve at the pleasure of the council by charter, if I'm not mistaken. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you for your comment. Do you have anybody else signed up in the room?
No.
Thank you.
I
And
want to say something. I just all sign.
Laura Dennis?
Okay, so right. Laura Dennis, 4362 Chase. I'll repeat that again, 4362 Chase for whoever needs that. I had higher hopes for tonight. I just came out of curiosity. I really wanted to see what was going to happen tonight. I really haven't heard a vision from the newer council. I hear regurgitated points that have been driven home by the prior council for the last, well, I've been there for about 2 years. We've driven this home many, many times. I haven't seen anything new here that we haven't already touched on. Frankly, I'm a little disgusted by the behavior that's happened before, during, and after the election. I thought once November came and passed, it was done, and I wasn't going to hear anything more. But I've been harassed by appearing publicly at a hearing that I have every right to attend. People following me, following my car, taking pictures of me for whatever reason. It's really fucking silly to me. Sorry, excuse my language. I'm just letting you all know that I'm going to continue showing up. I'm going to stay engaged. I care about this town. And now I'm even more concerned because I feel like we have a three-ring circus at the helm. And, you've been here for how long? You still don't even know whether or not you're required to attend a public event. And you're out here telling all these people, getting everyone riled up over things you have no knowledge on. You have all the information in front of you. You have the ability to learn that information. You've shown nothing but ignorance. And yeah, I didn't say a whole lot during my term, but what I did say was impactful. And it went along the lines of our goals. And I'm not seeing that here. I'm hearing a lot of loudness, but don't mistake loudness for competence. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comment. Do you have anybody signed up in the remote chat room?
No one has raised their hand.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Can we get Laura Dennis signed up on this? We will move on to our agenda item number 8 regarding the voter-approved lodging tax. May I please hear a motion to bring it to the floor?
Move to approve, second reading ordinance number 2025.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I have a point of privilege, I think, on the floor.
I motion to take a break.
Let's take a break. It is
Second.
8:08. Right now, we'll be back here in 10 minutes at 8:18. 15, we need to come back to order, please. You're missing
Yeah, I am.
Town attorney and council member Alvin. It's okay, that's not necessary. We're gonna be calling back to order. Are we unmuted for our annual recording? I call the regular meeting back to order for December 15th at 8:19 p.m. May I please hear a motion to bring agenda item 8 to the floor from our Mayor Pro Tem?
I move to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2025-11A, an ordinance of the town of Mountain View, Colorado, amending chapter 4 of the Mountain View Municipal Code, implementing a voter-approved lodging tax.
Second.
If our town attorney can speak to this second reading?
Yep, no changes in the first reading. So if you have any questions about how the ordinance works or how it was done at the first reading, I'm happy to answer this.
Does council have any questions or discussion? Councilmember Debner.
I just want to note for the record that there are 13 short-term rentals according to the website, which was updated on 12/10/2025. Seems
Noted. Mayor Pro Tem?
I just had it's more to do with the packet, but I usually can make highlights in the packet documents, and I couldn't, there's a lot of things in this time around I couldn't highlight in the packet, almost like I didn't have a text recognition.
I don't recognize that as related to our ordinance that's on the floor.
It was hard for me to highlight things and call out things, and I was just making it known.
Okay. Other discussion about the ordinance? Questions? Will the town clerk please call the roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Algeen,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Debner,
yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 10, will please hear a motion to bring it to the floor.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-12-15E, a resolution appointing blank as Mayor Pro Tem to the town of Mountain View, Colorado.
Second.
So the decision of who to appoint as Mayor Pro Tem is a decision entirely made by council. I'd like to thank our current Mayor Pro Tem and recognize her for her leadership and over her competency in the role over the last 4 years, and thank you for your service. I do believe that she is especially qualified for the role, and I hear that she has enjoyed serving in that capacity. Whoever you appoint will take over from this meeting, from this moment, from this agenda item forward. So whoever you appoint should be prepared to make the motions on the floor, to bring them to the floor. At this meeting, that person may or may not be responsible for that at future meetings, dependent upon the January regular meeting where we agree on the rules and procedures. So the role of the Mayor Pro Tem might change at the January meeting when you guys finalize those rules and procedures. This Mayor Pro Tem role is solely responsible for our charter to serve as the mayor in the event of the incapacity of the mayor. And with that, I will give the floor to the council. Councilmember Debner.
If I could maybe ask our current Mayor Pro Tem Bailey, if you could just describe kind of the duties and what the communication looks like between you and the mayor, and just kind of an outline of the responsibilities.
Yeah, the mayor and I would talk quite frequently about the direction and so we have some continuity and governance. And if she is going to be traveling, she always lets me know, so I know in advance to be prepared in the event that she's waylaid getting back from somewhere, or if there's a conflict of interest. I've had to run portions of meetings back when the mayor had a short-term rental, and we were discussing short-term rental policies in town. She had to recuse herself from those portions of the meeting, and I had to facilitate the discussion at the table, those kinds of things. So it's extra time and conversation. Yeah.
Do you have an estimate? Like just, I mean, are you spending like 3 hours on the phone chatting about things, or?
I never really tallied it up, to be honest with you. It was just kind of part of it. Yeah, it really depended on the meeting. It's like, it depended on the meeting, really.
Like with the short-term rental thing, when you were chairing the meeting, it was particularly important that you understand all of the aspects of it.
Yeah.
So that took more time. Traveling, I think, took more time.
Yeah, and normal times it's not, that much more time. But I mean, when he's traveling or there's a industry or conflict of interest issue, that kind of thing.
Or like this meeting, if I had been prepared ahead of time for it, I would have shared a lot of information with the mayor pro tem ahead of time to say, there's going to be a reordering of the agenda. I would have spoken with the mayor pro tem and said that I'm going to move this item and this item and that item and that item, and so that the mayor pro tem could be prepared to follow along and handle things if needed. So that would have taken, if there's that kind of reordering, that takes time to make sure that things run smoothly. Other questions or thoughts from the council as to this reappointment or appointment?
At this time, I would like to move for a resolution appointing Councilmember Aldean pro tem.
So you're making a motion to amend to add Councilmember Alpine as the pro tem?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Algeen.
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Debner.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher.
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem Alpine. We are at agenda item number 11. May I please hear a motion to bring agenda item number 11 to the floor from our Mayor Pro Tem?
I make a motion to move to the floor resolution number 2025-12-15F, a resolution of the Town of Mountain View, Colorado, amending an agreement with Onset Solutions, Inc. to perform information technology services in the town and authorizing the mayor to execute the same.
And just for the record, that was a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Oh, Coach. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the resolution of agenda item number 11. So this resolution is in front of you tonight because when Onset went to sign the prior contract that had been approved at the November meeting, they found a significant problem with the way they had initially drafted it, as we talked about in our staff report. Those details of the error in the contract are explained in the packet, so hopefully everybody has a sense of it. But it was basically they were billing per user rather than per computer, which would have resulted in higher expenses to the town. Since not every employee has a computer, because the majority of our employees are sworn employees and they don't all need computers. They share, some of our sworn employees share computers. So it was a substantive change that we needed to bring back to you. At the same time, we added there's a change in your red line. You'll see that I updated information about the tax exempt status of the town. So do we have any discussion, questions?
You kid.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes,
Can you put the mic
who is onset, actually?
Onset Solutions is our IT support, so they helped you with your new computer when you got set up. You called them.
Okay, yes, how many computers are we talking about? Is that 24?
Up to 24.
Okay. And, do we know what the labor cost is per hour per computer?
No, because it's not billed that way. So the labor is billed in the way that it's broken down in your packet and not billed. I don't think we would have that, unless I'm mistaken. Madam Clerk?
No, that's fair. It's a big speed. If you go to Exhibit B, starting on page 111 of the packet, you can see how the fixed fee is calculated and what services it goes to.
So I have a question.
Councilmember Randolph?
I'm sorry, how often do they have to fix computers? I mean, is a flat rate more reasonable than hourly rate? There's nothing that goes wrong with the computers?
This is the contract, the way that it's structured from their perspective to make it work to serve the town. We are their only municipality, so they've struggled a little bit with how to come up with a structure, a fee structure that works in this context. And this is how they came to us and tried to structure the fees for the town. And to me, it seems very reasonable. Their fees have been very reasonable in terms of the support that they offer. They offer almost 24/7 support. So during the holidays, they take some time off, but there are always things that happen. You know, like you had a problem with your computer, with your camera, and you were able to call them and they responded to you immediately. So, and that's just the nature of technology. So the fact that they're available in that way to every single employee and council member has been, I think that they've done a really good job for us over the last year.
So I'm just asking because in my past, we paid hourly because there wasn't much work. So I just wanted to work this draft and many times they get contacted to see if $1,700 is really worth it. I'm just curious.
We don't track it in that way, but I'm not even sure that we could without setting up quite a bit of extra time on staff time.
I think you would have to ask them as a part of this agreement to send you bills, much like you do for other contractors that aren't fixed fees.
And I don't know if they would agree to that, because I think that part of what, the way that they structure it, they're trying to save us money. The fact that we're bringing it back because they flagged something that saved us money it speaks to their integrity. And every time I meet with them and talk to them about their services, they speak to that issue. Along with security, they're particularly interested in issues related to security. Councilmember Albion, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question to Councilmember Davis. He asked, how many computers do we have? And then the discussion was just up to 24. And also, Councilmember Randolph mentioned 1,700, but I'm seeing $2,705 a month. Is that correct?
I think that, excuse me, the 2750 is correct, 1,700's on the top of one of the
Okay.
pages.
And is that seems to be extremely high. I don't know if, and we're the only municipality. Are there other municipalities that we're aware of that pay this fee, this standard 2705?
And if so, are there any other bids?
All municipalities need to have IT support services. Many larger municipalities have in-house IT support. When I first came on, we had IT support that was perfectly capable, but not quite as extensive in the assistance that they offered. It wasn't easy to get a hold of them. They didn't offer the same level of customer service. One of the projects that we are currently in the middle of with Onset Solutions is they're helping us move to the cloud. And so to not renew their contract would derail that and prevent progress. But if you would like to put it out to RFP, we could. I don't recommend it. Councilmember Bailey.
I noticed that it said in here that in the compensation on page 103, it says not to exceed $3,250 per month. When would we go above the $2,700 some odd dollars to get into that upper bound range? Because that seems like an exceptional amount of money.
Yes, if you add computers.
Add computers.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the itemized sort of part of the bill, like some things are per user and some things are per computer.
Would you like to have them come speak to you about it? So that way you guys could have a better sense of who they are? Because they did come and speak when we first signed with them to the council. You were at the table. I thought they did a great job. Yeah, it was a while ago. But we could invite them to come present on their services that they offer and share more information about why they're offering the services the way that they do.
Would it be a good use of time to share the video recording from that presentation? If they're just going to come back and...
We actually would only have a sound of that. We only have an audio recording of that presentation. Because it was before we had the video set up.
Because I would be interested in just learning more about the IT services that we provided.
Why don't we have them come present? I mean, if you guys would be more comfortable with that, they're a great crew. They're a wonderful crew. And I think they've done a magnificent job, and I think you guys would all be impressed. I think their prices are really reasonable. They did try to add on some additional things, and I rejected them. They said that what they're offering here is the bottom line to keep the town secure. And then there were things that they would like to add on, and I felt like, knowing this council, that we should be as frugal as possible, and so that's where we are with this contract. But having them come and speak to the technical aspects of the work that they're doing could be fruitful. Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Albies.
So that I have a better understanding, may I ask how difficult it is to have an RFP, just to get a comparative cost, and also have them come and do a presentation?
My estimate of that time to do an RFP for these services would be extensive because of the technical nature of this. So, I mean, I feel like we'd have to talk with them initially to understand even all the different nuances of it and shape the RFP. So we'd have to have another meeting to shape the RFP probably. I'd say just, I don't know, it's so hard to make these kinds of estimates. It's really a guess in the dark, but I'd say it'd take 10 hours to put it together. It takes another month for the RFP to get out and get responses, and then council would have an agenda item on their agenda where they would hear from maybe the top 3, depending upon how many we got, and so it'd be several months out. It'd probably be 3 months out from now, best case scenario.
Thank you.
It really would mess with the move to the cloud. It would be a huge disruption to our town to change IT services right now. It would be a massive, massive, difficult thing. Let me be clear.
I also saw a note in there that on page 113 there's like a separate one-time fee to get phones incorporated, and that's been done, or is that in
That
progress?
has been done. So there is an agreement where they're gonna handle our phones for us, because what we found is when the staff phones, get assigned to staff members use their own Apple IDs on their phones, and then if somebody leaves without it's town property and it should be controlled by the town. So we needed, IT support to create Apple IDs and manage the technology that goes on the phones. And Madam Clerk, feel free to weigh in if there's further clarifications that you have for us.
You mentioned that you mentioned that we're the only municipality for this IT service?
That's correct. And in some ways, I think that is a negative, and in other ways, I think it's a positive. I can see it as a negative because, there's a learning curve in terms of supporting municipalities with the police department. But I also see it as a positive because they give us a lot of attention. They're learning from us, and they're breaking into this market, and so we are very special to them. Councilmember Devon.
I guess I'm wondering, and this question is probably directed to our clerk. Do we have like an asset, like inventory management and life cycle policy?
We do not.
Is that something that would be beneficial?
I think your starting point would actually do the foundation of identifying your inventory first. I think that's where we need to start and then create the policy. I don't think we have a detailed list of inventory for our IT stock yet. And so the policy is putting the cart before the horse here.
Well, I guess I'd be interested, and I'd like to hear what other members of council feel about creating the inventory.
Can we put that to a future agenda discussion? Because that's really outside of the motion in the second that's on the floor, right? So let's have that come up at the future agenda schedule when we discuss that.
Okay.
Thank you. Other discussion about the contract with Onset? Councilmember Bailey.
I'm just curious if, I know our clerk has worked in other municipalities, and I'm just curious if you could comment on what you think of your interactions with Onset and compared to other municipalities and your ITs, and if they have any other municipalities you've worked with used a contractor, or has it all been in-house?
So I've worked in a small town that had one in-house IT person. I've worked in a large municipality that had a in-house IT team. And I've worked in a small municipality that had a contracted IT person who managed other municipal contracts. I think I would say this cloud transition has kind of been a bit of a struggle, and I will be very candid that this contract change was not brought to me during the budget discussion, which was very frustrating, and I made that very clear to the contractor because I don't think they understand the nuance of municipal budgeting, and asking for a $13,000 change after I set a budget makes things difficult for next fiscal year, but that's my brief interaction with the contractor.
I'm going to own responsibility for that. They did bring the $13,000 to me, and I neglected to share it with you. That wasn't their fault. Mayor Pro Tem Hoffmann?
Just a quick comment that we have had some dedicated staff who are taking a salary freeze in order to adjust the budget. So with that additional $13,000, what are we going to compromise in order to continue with this company?
I think I touched on this in my staff report a bit. Instead of absorbing that 10.5% insurance cost, I worked with an insurance broker to freeze that increase to offset this cost while providing a bigger depth of, I guess, safety net benefits for our town employees. I think this is also something that we may need to look at. I know our Huft revenue came in $11,000 higher than I budgeted, but I can also run the numbers and look at things and see where we could cut back in other areas to offset this.
What we're getting from this contract is better security. So they came to us and said that they needed to update the contract so that they could protect the town adequately. And they did not feel like they could protect the town adequately without us making these changes. They're bringing in additional programs to support us that cost them money because they were aware of some insecurities in our system. So there is increased value, as well as I believe we know that the economy right now, you're seeing, I was at Walmart the other day and chapstick had almost doubled in price. And I was just gobsmacked. So, I mean, I think to a certain extent we have to expect that there are prices that are increasing. And we want to pay people appropriately. They're paying their staff, and we want to be secure. And I think the devil you know is better than the unknown. And to me, they've been a very good resource, and they've done a great job as a member for the town. Mayor Pro Tem Lumpy.
Since we're a case study, right? They're learning from us. Is there also cyber security insurance through them?
They helped us purchase the more affordable cybersecurity insurance through a different broker. So they helped broker cybersecurity insurance for us rather than purchasing Sursa's cybersecurity insurance. So they did help with that, but they didn't get a cut from it.
So Sursa provides cybersecurity, correct?
But we turned it down because it was several $1,000s more expensive than the one that OnStat provided. And just as good. Other questions or discussion from council? Councilmember Dudley, you what you thinking? Are we ready to vote? Okay. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Elgin.
I'm going to say no.
Councilmember Bailey.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis.
No.
Councilmember Debner.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher.
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 12. And please hear a motion in the form of, I move to approve resolution number and then list the resolution number and the full name. May I please hear a motion to bring agenda item 12 to the floor from our Mayor Pro Tem?
I make a motion to approve number 12, resolution number 2025-12-15G, a resolution of the Town of Mountain View approving a professional service agreement with King Systems, LLC, to design and install a Zoom audio and video conference system and authorizing the mayor to execute the same.
Second.
Okay. So as you know, I want to just give some context basically for the proposed audio-visual upgrade for this meeting room and for our town annex when we move that forward. Our current AV setup was assembled piece by piece. You can see different pieces came as we worked to get it assembled. to reduce costs and to help us reach the point where we could post high-quality recordings online. That had always been the goal, to try to get to a place where we could post high-quality recordings online. And we got there. And I think that that is something that's a good accomplishment. I'm very proud of it. I know it has resulted in more transparency for the community has been watching the videos that we post online. I've gotten quite a bit of feedback on that. However, it's become, and also the nature of the way that we went about setting this up was due to the generous volunteer time of one of our residents, and so I want to recognize that as well. However, it's become clear that the system is not sustainable. Staff spend roughly 5 hours per meeting, as we said in your council report, setting it up and troubleshooting it every single meeting. Additionally, time is spent taking it down, and we deal with loose cables. We have people stepping up here all the time, and I worry about that. I worry about tripping hazards. We still have occasional technical failures, and even with all that effort to assemble it and work through it and make sure it's perfect before the meeting, we still cannot have participants participate remotely, reliably, and be heard in the room. They can hear us, and they are heard on the recording. We're that close. But for the last 2 months, I've been trying to troubleshoot that. We cannot get them heard loud in this room. And so, in short, we've invested significant labor into a system that still doesn't meet the needs of accessibility or professionalism and the standards that our residents deserve. So I want to be clear that this proposal is not about bells and whistles. It's not about adding additional fancy things. It's about ensuring that the residents who rely on remote access, whether due to a disability, to transportation limits, to illness, to caregiving, or work schedules, that they can participate meaningfully. And it's also about ensuring that council and staff can participate meaningfully under those same conditions. So it's about improving safety and the presentation in the room, getting rid of all of these cables that are tripping hazards, and the instability of the equipment that's been an ongoing concern. I want to also emphasize that the funds for this upgrade are already included in the 2026 budget that council approved. This fits squarely within the town hall capital improvements line item, and no supplemental appropriation is being requested. So it's also a long-term investment. The equipment is fully portable. It integrates with the church's current projector, and our public comment microphone would remain. And it supports the security features that we've implemented to protect our meetings. So to me, the current setup represents a learning phase as we work to professionalize our meetings. We've simply reached the point where maintaining the status quo costs more in staff time and accessibility limitations, safety risks, and frustration than moving to an integrated system designed specifically for government hybrid meetings. The company that gave us this bid, they have helped in Edgewater and in Denver. They've helped, this is one of their markets that they specifically serve municipalities and know the needs of municipalities. So I believe that this is a meaningful decision, and I encourage council to ask any questions you may have and to discuss it proactively as you do. But as we discuss this proposal, I hope we will keep in mind the values guiding it. It's about accessibility, safety, professionalism, continuity of governance, and long-term fiscal responsibility. And with that, I'm interested in hearing from council. Councilmember Bailey.
I have a couple questions. I'll start with, I'm assuming you've talked with the pastor man of the church and that they're okay with installing more equipment, and do we need any kind of a written agreement with them that, you know, this is our equipment and we'll be removing it upon our departure from this space? Sometimes, not that they would do the town wrong, but I feel like sometimes it's great to have things written down in writing. And everybody is signing off on that for clarity. And I was just wondering if we, if we could implement some other practices to recover ourselves, especially given how expensive this equipment really is. Was one of my questions.
We do have a lease with them.
Give me a moment, I'll answer your question.
They've given me verbal permission, knowing, and I've said that we would restore the beam to its original condition when we brought it with us.
Yeah, so anything we install, we can either take with us or at the parties mutual agreement, so that's in the lease. So we are permitted to install for the lease all necessary components for our purposes, which are meeting office space use.
Councilmember Davis, and then I believe I had another hand up, and then I'll come to Randolph. Councilmember Davis.
So the equipment is new, or is it used?
New.
Okay, it's new. Is it still under warranty?
It's from a King LLC, so they would, you've worked with King.
Do they have a
So
support
we haven't
system?
purchased it yet, so I don't know. They would support it, yes.
Okay, so could they come down here and show you how to set it up?
They do that. That's part of their setup. So they will go through the process of setting up the equipment. They will work with staff to show you how it's done, and then more than likely they will come back 1 or 2 or 3 times afterwards to make sure it's all working properly or work out any bugs that's in the system.
Okay, so is it that they need to come back here and go through the system and make sure it's working properly?
Yep.
We don't have them. And the system that is currently installed is a voluntary effort. So the new system would be entirely different. And they would install it and teach us how to use it and troubleshoot it.
Okay, so this is not the equipment we're talking about.
We would keep, this is the church's projector,
Okay.
and we would keep the microphone for public comment. The rest of the equipment would need to be sold. And there would be an entirely new system. It would be a camera mounted on that middle beam that also is a microphone, and it would get rid of all of these cables and that soundboard, that's the right term for it, and all of these. I would stop saying, please bring the microphone to your face, and you could participate remotely with no problem, including the issue of, we were hoping to have our town attorney be able to attend workshops remotely, and that's what started this actually, because that's a significant cost savings to the town, and we simply can't get to a point where we can have reliable remote participation, and so we can't let him stay home and not pay those travel costs. And then if somebody is doing caregiving or is ill, a council member can't attend. They just can't, because we can't. It's very difficult to have remote participation. So it's that problem that brought this to the fore. Does that help answer your questions?
Are there any other companies that have bid on this project?
I did a lot of research to find people who might bid on it, and this is the only one who I could find who would bid on it. I probably spent 3 hours looking for different companies who could bid on similar setups.
Because I know
Let me make sure that there's somebody, we've had other hands up as well, and then I'll come back to you, Councilmember Davis. Mayor Pro Tem Bailey, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Almeida, did you have your hand up? Okay. Councilmember Randolph.
I'm just curious, once you have it gets installed, and say somebody breaks in here and damages it, how do we cover that? Do you have any insurance?
So the way that wall, that accordion wall, is pulled across here and we lock it. That's what protects our equipment.
That would be under the town's property casualty insurance.
Would be?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then the main piece of equipment would be high up on that beam. Other questions from council members before Councilmember Devon?
I guess from my perspective, just given the dollar value here, I'd be interested in seeing additional bids.
I will attest that I went through this process when I worked for the town of Hudson and we built a brand new town hall. This was the only company that returned a bid.
They have a
So-
local law on market.
Thank you, it's valuable to know.
Mhm.
Other questions or comments? Councilmember Bailey.
I read in here that and you also stated that the current equipment could be sold, and I was just curious if we had a ballpark an idea of what we might get back on the sale of the equipment.
I don't. Councilmember Davis.
You know, there's Sound Town, they're in town. They're professional outfit, they service every band around.
But that's the problem. That's exactly the problem,
Okay.
is that the people who set this up do that kind of sound.
Okay.
And we need municipal governance sound. So it's AV. It's just a really different setup. Because bands don't need remote participation, right? It's just a very different setup. Bands, that's why we're using gaffer tape. It's just a different setup.
Well, just using the harmonica group as an example, for over 5 years, they did it remote. With the Zoom account.
Right, but were you in the house at the same time having a live band that
No.
people could watch? So that's
No,
the difference.
we're all individual.
Right, because we could easily have an all-remote meeting as we did with our special meeting. No problem at all. Remote participants can participate fully. That's no problem. It's the hybrid meeting that causes the difficulty technologically.
Right. Pursue on.
So are you generally in favor of the concept?
Yes and no, okay? Because, maybe because I don't understand the actual problem, you know?
So, I do have experience with this because I had a King AV system in a town hall pre-COVID. And having to learn how to transition that into a hybrid meeting during the pandemic was a very fluid, easy process to where you could have presenters remote in, you could have people actually communicate to the council during the meeting, and you're not running all of this equipment, right? It's from one laptop, and it's all downloaded immediately to the server for digital meeting uploads, court, all those things. The benefit to it is you can take this into a new town hall space and make a new council chambers, if you have one, functional for hybrid meetings moving forward. I do understand it's a big task, but this is also a big task and it's not functional and we can't have hybrid meetings. I think the availability to allow any resident to remote into a meeting at any point in time, if there's a topic that they're very passionate about, would be an added benefit to your community.
I guess
And
we'll ask-
council members as well.
I guess one more question is it better to have the fully integrated Zoom rooms, or option A, or option B, rather? I mean, that's a more permanent situation, isn't it?
Which one is option B?
Option A is
Screen, $22,000.
Option A, the difference between option A and option B is only the addition of a screen. Option B adds a professional screen that we would then take with us, because there's a sheet here, and behind the sheet, there's a whiteboard. The whiteboard apparently doesn't create a good image, so they put a sheet, and the sheet creates a better image. But we're suggesting that when we have a new town meeting space, we will need a screen. We're not gonna put a sheet up, so we might as well get the screen now before prices increase and while we can use it. And that's my recommendation. If you guys would prefer not to invest in the screen, you could go with option A, which has everything else. The main issue is that we're making it possible for people to participate fully in the meetings if they're not in the room. And right now, we do not have that capacity.
Yeah, that's it. Can the screen be added later?
Certainly.
Okay. And you've done some research. Is this 18,000? Is this a competitive rate?
Can you speak right into the mic?
Is this a competitive rate?
It's hard because as we've learned from trying to find competitive rates, there are not providers in the market that do this exact thing that King Systems does. And so to me, I told them what I thought we could afford, and they went a little bit higher, and I'm not happy with that, of course. But that's what the system costs. That's what they bid to do work. And I think if we could find other providers that could do a setup, we certainly would. But I've not seen other providers that do the same work, or I would have brought them to the table. I love to offer you guys options. I'm going to let another council member speak because I saw another hand up, and then we'll come back to you again. Councilmember Devon.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I view remote participation as very important. We've heard from residents about that concern. If you consider the setup time and the attorney travel time, I think it would be a cost savings to implement this. I do wish that we did have more bids, but just based on the discussion that we've had so far, in support of option A, just because it's a more affordable option. And I think, at some later point when if we move to a new facility, we could maybe invest in a screen at that time. So that's just my thought.
Councilmember Lasher.
I agree with Councilmember Devner, and I just also wanted to add that we're always trying to say how professional we want things, and I think it's like embarrassing when, Austin's attorney Flanagan or something, is trying to zoom in. We're having to call, it seems like makes us look really unprofessional. So I am a fan of option B and just doing everything, so everything is professional that we can take with us.
Councilmember Randolph, where do you fall?
Option B is including the screen, correct? I would do option B because inflation, everything's going up. We're going to pay much more for a screen.
Makes sense. Okay, coming back to you, Councilmember Davis, do you have more questions?
No, I think okay.
Councilmember Bailey?
I definitely think we need to go with option B. When I was trying to join a meeting remotely, I kept getting kicked out of the meeting room, which was incredibly frustrating. And I'm grateful that we had a quorum even when I was kicked out of the meeting, because we wouldn't have been able to continue the meeting if that had happened. So it really impacts everything.
Councilmember Alpine, where are you on this decision?
I'm in favor of option B. If you recall, in September, I couldn't even speak and I had to type my conversations. So I had limited council interaction.
Precisely. So we need a motion to amend.
I do have one more question.
Councilmember Devon.
So are there other capital improvement projects that these funds would maybe be used for? I guess we haven't really taken a look at, prioritization. So I'm just kind of curious.
So I initially earmarked those capital improvement dollars for some design schematics for a new town hall space. I think logistically, this comes to a higher priority, and the town hall concept needs to be kicked back until we can finish our land use code update. And the other hopeful grant that we might get from DRCOG, so we can really evaluate the lots we have and what would work best for the town.
We need a motion to amend Resolution 2025-12-15G, a resolution of the Town of Mountain View, Colorado, approving a professional services agreement with King Systems LLC to design and install a Zoom audio and video conference system and authorizing the mayor to execute the same, inserting into Section 1 the dollar value of $18,996.53.
So moved.
Is that option? I thought that was option B. Oh, how do I undo that?
So we just moved to amend by inserting 22.
We didn't have a second on it.
Oh, so the motion's not.
The motion's not even.
Just do a friendly withdrawal.
Friendly withdrawal.
Okay, and then we'll just need a motion on the floor, new motion on the floor, 2274-7.
So
it's going to amend the inserted on the 2274. 750.
$22,747. Inserted into Section 1 of Resolution 2025-12-15G. I need a so moved.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Will the town clerk please call the roll call vote for this?
Mayor Pro Tem Algene,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to that future system. It will be a big improvement. We are at agenda item number 13, which is our future meeting agenda, and I'm going to add a few more things that came to mind after we got the packet out. The ADA transition plan has some policies that they're recommending that we adopt, and so those will be coming forward when we have that final ADA transition plan. And those policies, I think there's quite a few of them. So those aren't on the future agenda schedule. But the rest of it is in your packet. Are there questions about the future agenda schedule? And things that, I know Councilmember Debner had some things that he wanted to talk about in the future. So this is a good time. There are two times when council members can say, I would like to have a conversation about this topic in the future. The future agenda schedule, agenda item, that is the perfect time to talk about it. If we don't have that agenda item in the meeting, you can also bring that forward during your council reporting time. So since we do have this in our meeting agenda, are there other topics that council is interested in discussing in future agendas? Councilmember Randolph.
The Gazette discussion, was that it?
It was not. So that's part of the communications policy discussion in February workshop. The communications policy discussion will bring forward the Gazette discussion as well as all kinds of additional elements related to communications. Digital policy, we adopted a digital policy back in 2017, I think, something 2016. Exaggerating. And we haven't readopted that, so we're knitting all of the communication pieces together and bringing it forward to discussion in that workshop.
So we can't unplug the projector from that, right?
No, purchasing policy is at a future date listed here under the 12th of January at the council meeting that time, purchasing policy final adoption. If our finance committee is able to pull that off, I think we're pretty close. So that's why it's on the January 12th council meeting.
And I just have one last thing. The MPCC project, I'm confused about that. RFPs were approved, because I couldn't find where it was actually approved, a vote was taken. I know you put some stuff on the website with Mr. Flanagan's resume and stuff, but was that ever finalized?
Council did approve that, yes. And in fact, I'm glad you mentioned it. It's something that I'm going to speak to in my reporting time. But this page is at the front of the hall for community members, and there's a QR code here that allows everybody to go to the website that you mentioned. So this schedule that was approved for work is what we're currently going on. And since the future agenda schedule only goes up to the March 9th, the zoning, you see it on your future agenda schedule called zoning project. So it's February 9th is the overview of the project in zoning districts. You'll see that work session. And then March 9th is the permitted uses work session number 1. Does that help?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Devner, there was something that you were interested in talking about.
I don't remember.
It was the legal issue related, you brought it up to the appointment of when it's appropriate to ask legal questions of the town attorney, and I believe the mayor suggested that we can have that fleshed out in the rules and procedure, which is scheduled for.
Yeah, the rules and procedures are scheduled for the next meeting, the next regular. So we'll have a workshop on rules and procedures followed by adoption at the regular January meeting. And that's, I mean, come prepared for a really in-depth meeting. The rules and procedures are going to be a very serious conversation because I can tell from this meeting that there is a lot of confusion. And you guys set the rules. And so there doesn't need to be confusion. So come prepared to have a real conversation about how you want to handle your meetings. That is where you're going to have that conversation. And those rules are entirely yours. There are best practices, there are recommendations, but they are your rules. So come prepared with what you want to talk about in terms of what questions you have. Like, when can I reach out to the attorney to talk about a question? That's when it's in your rules and procedures. And right now, your rules and procedures, I have found them pretty adequate, but I recognize that there are terms that are new that aren't defined, that people would like to find, things like habitual absences. We need that defined. Let's have a real conversation about how do you define that. That's where we're going to have that conversation. Are there other conversations that council, I know from the 2026 goals, there's a lot of work, we kind of made a work list more than values and vision statement, and I was hoping for a values and vision statement. The work list is easy. That's a to-do list. I really liked a lot of your feedback, and I thought it was a very helpful conversation. And I understand a lot more about where your priorities are, and for that reason, it's time well spent. But I think when we come back and have the workshop about 2026 council goals, we still really need to talk about your values, not just your work list. So think about that. What values do you share? Because that's very productive in terms of moving us forward. It's not just about the to-do list. It's also about what do we care about? How are we representing as a body ourselves to the community? What are we committed to in terms of our values? That's what those council goals are more aspirational, right? And then you get to the work list, the to-do list. So I'm hoping to have that conversation when we come back in January for the workshop. And that's on there. Adoption, January 5th is the review and discussion of the proposed 2026 council goals, and then the rules and procedures is all different items. That will just be the discussion. And then the January 12th meeting, is it the 12th? Did I get that wrong? Yeah, it's moved because of the holiday. So It's January 5th, January 12th, February 2nd, February 9th. If everybody can get that on their calendars. That has to do, so those meetings are very close together. It's going to be a little hard lift for all of us. But it's important because it's a holiday. Is it February or January? Wasn't sure. I was started. And we had for January 12th is our council meeting, so we have January 1st January 5th is our workshop. 12th is the regular. And February 9th. Okay, good. Everybody has that on their calendar. This future agenda schedule in the packet, page number 140. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for putting page numbers on our packet. I appreciate the extra time that it takes to do that. That's very helpful. And then we'll be bringing back, right now, in the March workshop, we combined the workshop and the regular meeting so that the first Monday of the month doesn't have a workshop. And then March 9th would be a combined workshop and regular meeting if we have anything to workshop at that time. If not, we'll just do a regular meeting. Mayor Pro Tem Abdi.
I would also like to add a nepotism discussion and to clarify and put in place nepotism rules and guidelines.
So that's in the employee manual that we've already talked about, the employee handbook updates in February 9th. I believe our clerk already addressed that at an earlier meeting and talked about it, and then we'll bring it back in the employee manual at the February 9th meeting. That's already on the future agenda schedule. Other requests from council for things to add to the future agenda. Councilmember Devlin.
So it was discussed briefly tonight about asset inventory management.
That was the one.
So, maybe it makes sense to give staff direction to begin the asset inventory management process, and then bring that to the meeting for discussion.
Lorraine has talked about this a little bit and has a piece of it.
So she does have a piece of it because a lot of those are your capital assets that have the depreciation values. But in terms of IT and all of that, if you want a very granular one, I'll work with Lorraine. I am meeting with her this week and we can start that work.
With that, as far as time commitment and staff workload, is that something that's doable?
When do you want to bring it back to council?
I mean, we could do the February 2nd workshop. I mean, it's probably low priority from my perspective. I mean, but it'd be good to get on the list.
February 2nd would be...
During the audit?
Well, the audit is the week of March 3rd, March 2nd. So it would be right before the audit, which could fall in line with the timeline because we're going to have to address all of those things in the audit, so I could make it work.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to add that to the future workshop.
To the February workshop? How do other council members feel about this? Are we all in alignment with that concept? I feel a little shy about directing staff with one council member. I just need to see that we have the body, because we need to be careful, right, with resources. We don't want to just have an idea and immediately direct staff. And everything that we do takes time. And it's more time consuming than you think. And right now, I'm going to say, her plate is very full. So I just want to make sure that we're all sort of on the same page. Councilmember Randolph?
I have seen where you did IT inventory and there's a lot of laptops, a lot of equipment, and things break and change, and it becomes a lot of work to keep the information correct. So I don't know how much, and sharing is very busy. I don't know if it's really high right now.
Have Dave Smith do that.
That's just my thoughts. Because it does take a lot of time to keep it correct. Labels on laptops,
That's my
numbers,
fear.
So-
signs to it.
Our chief made a pretty great suggestion, is we do have someone on staff that could assist in a lot of this work. Dave Schmidt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can collaborate internally with staff to try to get some of this stuff going.
But maybe let's have it be a priority that's not, like, as needed, and have it be something that she can work with our police department and our IT and Lorraine as reasonable, right? And not have it be something that she's knowing that council is waiting on February 9th to see a report. Because she's a perfectionist and she's gonna spend 80 hours working to do it if that's what it takes. And so I want to be careful with her time.
Because from my perspective, it's like a parking lot future agenda item. So as we can fit it in and as resources allow, it seems wise.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Alvey.
May I ask a question to the clerk? So, may we ask you, what do you feel is a reasonable time frame?
I mean,
Rather than trying to,
realistically, because we don't have a lot of public works inventory per se, a lot of it is more police heavy. I would say a couple months would be adequate if I pulled in the police resources and worked collaboratively with that department to get it done.
I do agree that we do need to have an asset inventory, because we currently do not, is that correct?
Well, yes and no. Part of your asset inventory is what your town accountant uses for your capital asset values, correct? So there is some existing documentation. I don't think it's as granular as what the council's looking for. So it's a documented list that we just need to develop on per the goal that you are bringing forward to staff.
Thank you.
Councilmember Devon.
So in reflecting on this, I actually wonder if it may be more helpful that as staff, that you would provide a list of, essentially gap plugging measures that we could add to the future agenda schedule from staff's perspective. And then, because I guess what I'm thinking is if we have a future agenda schedule and as time allows, we can kind of chip away at policy development and kind of close gap closing measures. And I think that'll bring us closer to our goal of a professional council municipality.
So the original goal when I created the future agenda schedule was that it would be discussed with council, and then we as staff would internally discuss it and see those gaps that we would need to implement. Unfortunately, due to budget and all of the other projects I've been working on, we haven't been able to be as efficient with that as I would like, but that was the initial goal in implementing this whole process.
That's really the point of future agendas. Mayor Pro Tem?
I would also like to add the review of reinstating the senior discount for trash and recycling.
That would be the utility setting, the utility bill setting rates. And we have the rate sheet, we've started working on the rate sheet. We don't have it up on this, it's been further down the list, I think. Fell off this list, but we do have that sort of in the works. It will require a substantial amount of time to at, because what we want to do when we're talking about that is we want to give council a really accurate assessment, right, of what it costs to provide the utilities and what the current rates provide in terms of revenue, because they're supposed to match. And so we don't want to have that discussion without about a discount without bringing all the information to the table. So I think we could put it on the agenda schedule. What do you think is a reasonable date?
Typically, standard is also looking at your utility rates every July to implement a CPI increase, because our costs go up annually, as do everything else. And so I would say July would be a time to have that conversation, probably June, to also discuss maybe an implementation of CPI increases for your utilities as well.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Then it feeds the budget for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Moving on then with that section. We are at mayor and council reports. We are really late, 9:30, actually, we're doing okay. What we do is 9:30, we need a motion and a second to continue past 9. May I have a motion to continue the meeting, please? Past our 3-hour mark. A second. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion passes. We will continue on. The mayor and council reports, I wanted to highlight, thank you to everyone who has donated for our tour drive this year. But I would like to encourage more participation if possible. It's been a little light, and there are families in the town who rely on our assistance. And Porchlight also, the donations, anything left over goes to Porchlight. The gift cards are an item that nonprofits and residents are in need of most often. So I'd like to encourage everybody to participate in that. Our residential development project was successfully completed, the first stage with Fairfield and Woods, that you guys hired, the council hired and budgeted $25,000, and that came in under budget by $887.50. Mr. Messenger expressed appreciation for the council and said he's always interested in working with us. I've had community members reach out and express specifically a desire for us to continue urgently moving the MVCC project forward, because they're aware that the residential code fixes come in the course of that project. And so they're feeling an urgency. And so I promised the residents that I would bring this urgency to council in the hopes that we will stay on track with that schedule. Printed copies of that schedule, as I mentioned earlier, are at the front of the room. Bring these home with you. There's a QR code on the back that gives you the website page that has a lot of historical information. So we did talk about the schedule. I want to just highlight the February meeting moved from the 23rd to the 9th due to the holiday. The March meeting moved from the 16th to the 9th due to staff scheduling. And the full information is posted on the website. I will go home tomorrow and be working on getting all of 2026 events or meetings updated on our website. The town calendar that's in your packet also has a few changes. I remember that the yard sale was very popular, and we didn't do it for 1 year. So I think we should do that again this year. If everybody's okay with that, we'll move that forward. And then we also talked with the police department to combine the mayor and council forums with the MVPD forums, and those dates are in your packet. Because we've had a hard time getting good attendance at both of those events. And this way we have the same audience in the room, and we just continue the event and have MVPD bring a presenter or bring a subject following the mayor and council forums. I also stuck with a Saturday, going back to classics for that, just a basic Saturday. I know not everybody can attend on a Saturday, but I tried hard to follow the input that I got at the last meeting to vary the dates, and it just didn't work. It would have been so hard to try to communicate. We've got these workshops, and then we've got our forums. Sometimes they're in the midday, sometimes they're on the weekend, sometimes they're located at this location, sometimes they're located at this other time, and the times varying. It just would be really hard to get the word out and make it fair for everybody. So I just went back to basics. It used to be a Saturday coffee and donuts, and we're going to be doing that this year. If somebody else would like to hold their own forums, they're welcome to. And Excel has alerted us to a possible planned power outage on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. That's due to high winds and elevated fire risk. All the details are posted on the website. There's a red banner across the homepage of the website. I would encourage you to go there and learn more about that. And I will update it as I hear more. That is the rest, that's the full report. Do council members have any reports that they would like to share? Mayor Pro Tem, are you raising your hand?
I do not have a report to share, but I have a question about our report. In regards to the events committee report, I would like to see if we could have included the total cost of the event per event. And then I also had another question was, in regards to gift cards, how are they distributed? What is the process?
Residents just reach out and say what they need help.
So do we advertise that, saying if you need assistance, you can reach out for a gift card if they're available?
On the flyer it says that.
Okay.
It said if you need help or if you'd like to contribute.
I would also be interested in seeing some more details, particularly from the events committee. If, just kind of high-level summary of, the financial impact of our events. I'd be very much interested in that. I think it'd be a good move for transparency, just so residents and council understands how much each event costs, and that way in the future, if we need to identify cost-cutting measures, we kind of have, a little bit of a history of, how many people attended maybe. I'd be really curious to know, how much we donated to, Torchlight. I really do think that's a great program. But I guess one question, maybe this is directed towards our attorney, is are there any concerns or, anything that we should have in place if we're doing fundraising and toy drives?
The only thing that I can think of, not being familiar with the program, is just refrain from being discriminatory and refrain from self-healing. So refrain from, counselors or elected officials receiving the benefit from the program.
We could implement an application process, and that way we can just document things.
Mm-hmm. So this will be for council to decide when you form the committees. We're at the end of our year for this committee, and so all of the committee, all of the events committee work has been completed for 2026 or 2025. So when we form the committees and council decides how they want to handle the committees, at that point you'll get a chance to say how you want the committees to report. Councilmember Randolph.
I just have a suggestion. Have you ever thought about doing Christmas in July and start gathering gift cards then? Because December comes, higher utility bills, etc., inflation. If you started it earlier, you might get a better response.
Would you like, how does the rest of council feel about that? Should we change that event?
No, I mean just collecting the cards. Do a flyer, we're starting gift cards collection in July instead of waiting a month for Christmas.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Sure, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I hope that everybody on council has read the calendar and the list of events, because I'm going to move it forward unless you object.
Question for clarification. Is that mayor and council community forum, do those need to take place at the town hall now?
Yes.
May I ask a question, please, before we move on to staff reports? Because I see the letter that's in between the mayor report and the events report. I just have a question. Let me get my note, bear with me here. I had to write myself a little note. As a council member, I'd like to ask why these letters continue to be included in the council packet. I'd also like to understand from a staff perspective how these letters are being handled administratively before they are placed in the packet. And then finally, I would like to ask our attorney for guidance on how he recommends that council addresses this type of correspondence moving forward.
This is part of your rules and procedures that council was in agreement the last time we talked about a letter from a council member, and I accidentally put it in the public comment period, and we agreed that it did not go in the public comment period, it went in the council reporting time. And so every council member has a right to report from the table during their council reporting time, and that's what we offer. Staff had nothing to do with that letter, it was simply submitted to staff and put in the packet for the rules. Do you want to add anything?
Nope, I'm not familiar with the letter, I looked at it, but my understanding of the rules is that we changed them this past year to allow council members to give their reports either written and put it in the packet or vocally and say that at the end of the meeting this time.
Thank you. Can you help me understand how this is a report?
I am not sure what we're referring to.
It's the letter that was referred to about the incident with the resident and he spoke of at public meeting.
I considered it a report because the council member was specifically addressing public statements made against her in the public comment and putting aside, trying to put that aside. And so that's how I considered it. I did not see it as personal. I saw it as a council member had made a statement in response to some allegations that had been made in a prior meeting. And I didn't evaluate the content.
And I think if the council wants to see additional parameters on what types of information can be considered a report, either vocally or written, we can definitely amend the rules for that.
Okay. And based on the response or the comment from the resident tonight, what is our council responsibilities moving forward?
I'm just not familiar with this matter, but my hunch is that there's no responsibility of council, and perhaps the only responsibility of council is if you don't want this interaction in the future, prohibit it in your rules.
Thank you.
Any other council reports? Councilmember Deb.
I just had a question. I like the Neighbors Helping Neighbors program, which is really good. I think it's great to connect residents with other residents. But I guess one concern I have was maybe from like a legal perspective, if there's any liability that we should consider, like a disclaimer statement regarding that program.
What is the Neighbors Helping Neighbors program?
This is why we talk about it ahead of time. This is why we get these heads up ahead of time, so that we can, let's review that in the future.
Yeah, that would be totally fine. I just wanted to just kind of flag that for your input. And then the other question, I have one more. The flyers for reminding about like code enforcement, are those already printed?
No,
I guess one suggestion I would make
they're
is
printed in-house, so we print them as needed.
maybe adding the code reference, so that way residents can go onto our website and look at the details specifically.
Yeah, that's a good idea. One of the reasons why we did it the way we did it is because we don't want it to look legal. We don't want it to look like we're starting code enforcement. We want it to be friendly, because in the past, people have gotten a code enforcement friendly reminder that specifically says it's a friendly reminder, but they take it as they got a code enforcement, and they didn't. They simply got a friendly reminder. So I'm trying to keep it as friendly as possible and educational, and not related to, like, you know, we're enforcing at this point. And we specifically say, if you have any questions, reach out to Public Works, and we give that email address. So we keep it at the way that, actually this is something that I do plan to have at a future agenda, is a conversation about code enforcement as a whole, so that you guys can instruct how you want code. I can tell you more about how it has been done and why it's been done that way, and then you can, as a body, say you want to tweak it here or there, rather than sort of, you know, ad-libbing it. So maybe we bring that back in the future.
Yeah, I would really enjoy seeing that on a future agenda.
Okay, let's do that. Mayor Pro Tem.
I just have a comment. You know, sometimes when we're having a lively conversation, a productive conversation, things will come to our minds. And so I know that we may not want to bring surprises to the table, but there's going to be a quick thought, and it's not intended to be troublesome. It's just a thought. So I thank you, Ryan, for bringing that forward.
Is that all? Thank you. That's always been very acceptable and very explicitly stated in the rules. Any other reports from council? Moving on to staff reports, Madam Clerk.
I provided a written report in the packet, and I'm open to questions.
Councilmember Devlin.
I just want to express appreciation with including the October financial statements in the next meeting, and I look forward to seeing more of those.
Councilmember Bailey.
I'm just curious, and you stated in your report that you are now able to provide short-term disability and long-term disability coverage. Were we not doing that before, not even for our PD?
No. And so a lot of our internal discussions in terms of the difficult decisions that the chief had brought to the table in the budget, part of our insurance 3-month conversation was we polled the entire police department and said, okay, what's your priority? Is it a high level of health insurance, or do you want a safety net in case you get hurt on the job? And we overwhelmingly heard back from the entire PD that they would rather have the safety net. So I worked with the insurance broker to kind of reduce the quality of our health insurance plans. I offered an HMO and an HSA. We were at the second highest Kaiser plan, and I bumped it down to gold plans that are kind of at the lower tier, because that offset any insurance increase and reduced the cost. We could then offer the short-term and long-term disability to our employees, and that was really important to the PD. And so I appreciate the chief working with me on this and taking the time to bring in his entire staff for meetings and, you know, have those discussions. But I think it was a positive change for the department.
That was a lot of hard work that went into that. Other questions for our clerk? Chief Nesbitt.
I'll try to do this.
Our clerk's going to try and put some pictures up for us real quick. So this is this kind of is really about all the Sergeant Department. So back in November, Sergeant Byrne began the process of renovating the department patrol room. Up on the screen there is kind of how it looked before. These improvements were really much needed. The floor was peeling up, as you can see where the chairs had kind of worn the floor out. The office chairs were wore out. The workstations were just really dated. It was just kind of a mess. Sergeant Berman, along with our officers and some of the town staff, were able to complete this entire project just over a month without disrupting the daily operations. And this is kind of after. This is just around December 1st. It just made the space so much more usable. It actually, and again, it's all about morale, really, when you walk in, and you can be kind of proud of where you're walking into. So, Sergeant Murray is always, he takes great pride in his work. He always has the welfare of the officers in mind. He really just went all in on this whole thing and really did a great job. He's a pleasure to work with, and we're honored to have him. So, the rest of the reports in the packet there, but again, this is kind of the home run for December. He really did a great job.
Any questions for our chief? Thank you very much.
You bet.
The public works report is in the packet, and with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
I would like to bring our attention to, we lack a financial report, which I'm on finance committee. We're not providing that monthly. I would like to make that effective.
This should have happened at the council reporting time. I'll allow it, but this is the kind of thing that needs to happen during the council reporting time, not during the staff reporting time right before adjournment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And so to provide a monthly finance report, I would like to have the opportunity to meet with the treasurer to review monthly and be able to provide detailed information on our budgets.
Okay. Having reached the end of our agenda, may I have a motion to adjourn? And a second. Second. We are hereby adjourned at 9:51.